Okay, so let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into the June 2025 Your Career, Your Future newsletter.
Right. This one's from the Career Experts Group. They're that joint venture, Master Career Pros, branding strategists.
Exactly. And they focus on helping people at, well, really all career stages.
And this month's theme is pretty cool. Summer of Growth, cultivating your career garden.
I really like that metaphor. It shifts your perspective, doesn't it? Summer isn't just downtime.
hmm It's framed as this time for intentional growth, reflection, renewal.
Yeah, like tending a garden. It takes planning, patience, nurturing, knowing when to prune. It's active.
Absolutely. You can't just scatter seeds and hope. So our mission here is to pull out the key insights
The really practical stuff from the newsletter. What's it telling us about careers today?
and how you can actually use these ideas to, well, cultivate your own path forward.
Okay, so we'll get into why careers feel less like a ladder now, more like a garden cycle.
Definitely. And practical ways to network, especially with summer coming up, those more relaxed settings.
We'll also talk about building an authentic personal brand, the roots and soil, not just the flashy bits.
Right. And overcoming those common job search hurdles that, get people stuck.
Sounds good. Let's dive in, starting with this idea of career cycles.
Yeah, the newsletter makes a strong case that the whole professional world has shifted. That old linear path, pretty much gone.
They back that up with some stats, right?
They do. Pretty eye-opening ones.
Yeah.
Like today's professionals, they'll hold an average of 12 to 15 jobs.
Wow, 12 to 15, that really hits home. The idea of one job for life is just history.
It really is. And then there's that World Economic Forum projection. 65% of kids starting school now.
Yeah.
They'll end up working in jobs that don't even exist yet.
65%. That's
Yeah.
huge. It basically screams you have to keep adapting.
Constantly.
Yep.
And it's not just individuals. Companies feel it too. McKinsey Research, mentioned in the newsletter,
What did that find?
S&P 500 firms that are good at talent management.
Huh.
They generate 300% more revenue per employee.
300%. So managing talent through these shifts isn't just HR fluff, it's a major business advantage.
Exactly. And then on the employee side, Deloitte found about 80% of people see well-being programs as crucial.
Okay, so what makes a job good is changing too. It's not just the title.
Right. It all points to careers being cyclical, not just climbing up, but moving through phases, growth, maybe stagnation, definitely reinvention.
And industries themselves follow cycles, according to the newsletter.
Yeah, they outline 4 main phases. First up is the innovation phase.
Okay, what's that like?
Think new tech, disruptive startups, early adopters jumping in, lots of excitement, maybe some chaos.
Like AI right now, or maybe early internet days?
Precisely. Then comes the growth phase. Things take off, rapid expansion, companies scaling up fast.
Talent shortages often happen here, right? Lots of hiring.
Definitely. Intense competition for skilled people.
Mhm.
Then things slow down into the maturity phase.
Okay, so growth levels off.
Yeah. The focus shifts. More about consolidation, efficiency, optimizing what's already there, fewer brand new roles popping up,
Maximizing the existing structure makes sense.
and finally you hit the disruption or renewal phase. Established ways get challenged.
By new tech, new competitors.
Exactly. This can mean restructuring, layoffs sometimes, but crucially, it also opens up totally new opportunities.
For people who can adapt or are already in those emerging areas.
Right. So knowing where your industry sits in this cycle, it's not just interesting, it's vital for planning your next move.
It totally reframes how you approach skills, networking, everything.
Which leads perfectly into how you master these cycles. The newsletter lays out 5 steps. We don't need a lecture, but maybe pick out a couple key ones.
Good idea. What stands out to you?
Well, I think developing cycle awareness is fundamental.
Yeah.
Actually knowing where your industry is at.
So how do you do that practically? It sounds a bit abstract.
It's about being intentional, actively following industry news, not just scrolling headlines, joining associations maybe.
Like dedicating time to really assess the landscape.
Yeah, maybe quarterly check-ins, like a gardener checking the soil, the weather patterns. You need to know your environment.
That proactive observation feels key.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another big one?
Building a cycle-proof skills portfolio, this really resonated. Skills for one phase might not cut it in the next.
Right. So how do you make your skills cycle-proof?
It's about distinguishing between, say, knowing one specific old software really well that's phase-specific versus evergreen skills.
Evergreen skills? Like what?
Things like critical thinking, problem-solving, adaptability, communication, the core human stuff that's always valuable.
Okay. And keeping up with new tech, too, presumably.
Yes, but understanding how emerging skills apply broadly, not just in one tiny niche, it's like diversifying your crops in the garden. Protects you if one area gets hit by, like, sudden frost.
Diversification. Makes sense. And they also mentioned strategic career reviews. That sounds more serious than just updating a resume.
Oh, definitely. It's not just when you need a job. It's regular check-ins, maybe twice a year.
What do you do in these reviews?
Could be scenario planning. What if my industry shrinks? What if this new tech takes over? Maybe even setting up a personal advisory board.
Ooh, I like that. Getting trusted perspectives.
Exactly. It turns reflection into a conversation. Helps you adjust your plan before things change drastically.
So resilience isn't about finding stability anymore because stability is rare. It's about building your capacity to adapt.
It's about being ready for any season in the garden.
Speaking of seasons and gardens, networking, a huge part of cultivation. But it can feel awkward.
So awkward. The newsletter even acknowledges that. The author admits it feels unnatural sometimes.
But the reframe is key, right? Not collecting cards, but planting seeds, building actual relationships.
Yes. And the why is crucial. That stat they mentioned. Something like 80% or more of jobs filled through networks.
80%? That's massive. It shows how much happens outside just clicking apply online.
Totally. Those applicant tracking systems, the ATS, the filter resumes, sure. But the real opportunities often come through people.
They also talk about weak ties, that concept from sociology.
Mark Granovetter, yeah. It's about those acquaintances, not just your close friends, people you know casually.
Like old colleagues, conference contacts, neighbors.
And those connections are gold because they link you to totally different circles, different information streams, bridges to new soil.
Okay, so how do you grow these connections organically? The newsletter has ideas beyond just industry mixers.
Yeah, they suggest stuff like checking your city's event calendar. You meet all sorts of people.
Or volunteering. They had a great story about that.
Right. Someone landed their first paid career role after volunteering with a church career ministry. Shows initiative, connects you with leaders.
It's not directly about getting a job from the volunteering, but the connections and credibility you build. Smart.
Also visiting co-working spaces, attending their events, you get a real mix of professions there.
So the common thread is the human touch. It's not transactional.
Exactly. They quote Jenny Foss, a career strategist. Don't ask for a job. Ask for advice, insights, or introductions.
Show curiosity. Be human.
Asking for advice is way less intimidating for both sides. Shows you value their perspective. Build the relationship first.
And summer, they argue, is actually a great time for this, the whole grilling and chilling idea.
It really is. People are often more relaxed. Think about it. BBQs, weddings, block parties, outdoor concerts, alumni stuff.
Graduations, maybe joining a rec league or hobby group.
All perfect low-pressure environments where work and life can naturally mix.
So how do you approach these summer events with a networking mindset, but without being that person?
They have a few simple strategies. 1, lead with curiosity. Genuinely ask about others.
Makes sense. 2,
have a light elevator pitch ready. Super casual, 20-30 seconds. Just an easy answer to what do you do or what's new.
Okay, tailored to the setting, not a stiff corporate pitch.
Exactly. 3, follow up promptly. If you connect with someone, send a quick note in a day or two. Great chatting. Let's stay in touch. Simple.
And lastly,
be a connector. Offer value yourself. Can you introduce them to someone? Share a useful article. Being generous pays off.
it really is about planting seeds. You never know which conversation might lead somewhere down the road.
And that long-term cultivation idea links right into personal branding. The newsletter calls it the root system.
Yeah, I liked the author's honesty about struggling with houseplants, but appreciating the garden metaphor for branding. It's organic.
Totally. They break the brand garden into 3 parts. First, the soil.
The foundation.
Your core values, your beliefs, your unique perspective, your why. This develops over time through experience and reflection.
Okay, the ground everything grows from, then.
The roots. These are the strong bits beneath the surface. Your real strengths, the ones that energize you. Your story. And your network, those connections we just discussed.
So the roots give you stability and depth.
Right. The newsletter points out people often focus only on the visible stuff, the flowers, without building strong roots or good soil. That's not sustainable.
Which brings us to the flowers. That's the visible part.
Your communication style, how you look, your actual work product, how you show up.
And the idea is, if the flowers grow naturally from good soil and strong roots, the brand feels authentic.
Exactly. You're not faking it, it's genuine. But it needs ongoing care, pruning, adapting. It grows over time.
So focus on the soil and roots first for a brand that lasts.
Which loops back to the career garden cycle. The newsletter offers specific tools for each season.
Right. Framing development through exploration, growth, mastery, and renewal.
Yeah, like in the exploration phase, selecting seeds, you need resources for discovery, asking big questions, researching industries, finding stories of career changers.
Okay. And then growth phase, daily tending.
That's about building presence, networking, positioning. So tools might be resume guides, LinkedIn tips, understanding ATS, improving online visibility.
Makes sense. Mastery phase, harvesting.
Reaping rewards, expanding influence. Resources here might cover negotiation, evaluating total compensation, building deeper resilience.
And finally, renewal resting, planning new directions.
Could be looking at sabbaticals, work-life balance, maybe gig work, returnships, tools for transitions, lifelong learning.
The point being, different phases need different kinds of support. It prompts you to ask, what season am I in right now?
A really helpful question.
Okay.
And regardless of season, people hit roadblocks, especially job searching.
Yes, the Ask the Expert section, tackling that feeling of being stuck.
They list a few common reasons. One big one is lack of consistency and follow-up. Job searching is a marathon, right?
Absolutely. It's easy to lose steam.
The advice is about routine. Set small, achievable goals. Contact 2 people this week. Apply for 1 targeted job today. Track it. Follow up, like watering the garden regularly.
Consistent effort. Okay, what else gets people stuck?
Underutilizing your network. We keep coming back to this. Relying only on online applications when, 70–85% of jobs come via connections?
That's a huge disconnect.
It really is. The action is clear. Make networking foundational. Reconnect, join groups, volunteer, do informational interviews just to learn. Get known.
Focus on people. Got it. Another roadblock.
Not learning from setbacks. Rejection stings, but if you don't reflect, you repeat mistakes.
So treat interviews, even rejections, as data points.
Exactly. What went well, what didn't. Keep a lessons learned journal. And importantly, celebrate small wins. Getting an interview is a win. Having good chat is a win.
Keeps the momentum going. Addressing these shifts you from feeling reactive to proactive, right? Puts you back in control.
Gives you back the gardening tools, so to speak.
Speaking of tools for interaction, the newsletter also highlights communication and courtesy. June and July focuses.
Right. June is Effective Communications Month. They frame it as building bridges, connecting, not just talking.
What are the key tips there?
Listen actively, more than just hearing. Focus, watch body language, summarize to check understanding. Minimize distractions.
Crucial. What else?
Say what you mean clearly. Avoid jargon. Be concise. Structure your thoughts.
Feel their vibe, empathy. Try to see their perspective. Builds trust.
And watch your moves on verbals.
Yeah.
Your posture, eye contact, gestures matter. Pay attention to theirs too.
Basic stuff, but so important for relationships. Ties back to networking, branding, everything.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then July is National Cell Phone Courtesy Month, making sure phones don't disconnect us from people IRL in real life.
Oh, that's timely. What are the tips?
Be present. When you're with people, be with them. Put the phone away. Resist checking it constantly.
Much harder than it sounds sometimes.
Tell me about it. Also, volume down in public. Use headphones. And silence is golden in meetings, theaters, etc.
Common sense, hopefully.
You'd think. Also, text with tact. Quick updates okay, but maybe call for complex stuff. And respect those serving you. Cashiers, waiters, give them your attention.
Put the phone away during those interactions. Shows basic respect.
Yeah, these simple things really impact how you're perceived. Professionalism, courtesy, it all matters.
So wrapping this up, we've journeyed through career cycles, adaptation, networking, branding, handling roadblocks, communication. Quite a lot from one newsletter.
It really brings it back to that central garden metaphor, doesn't it? Your career needs patience, tending, adapting through all its seasons.
Growth, challenges, renewal, it's all part of it.
And the final thought, maybe, is that the best gardens, like the best brands and careers, develop organically over time.
Be patient with your growth. Focus on the soil, your values.
Yeah.
Nurture the roots, your strengths, your network.
Exactly. Put in that care, and you end up cultivating something uniquely yours. Resilient, ready for whatever cycle comes next.